So my name's Rashida Graham. I'm the CEO at Urban Community Projects and one of the co-founders. We started off in 2013. Our board of trustees were trustees for One Housing Group's charitable arm. They disbanded their charity and gave us some startup money, and we formed which was called Reuse in Camden and Islington at the time, but now we're Urban Community Projects. So I've been with the charity since the beginning. I started off as employment and training housing associations manager and have worked my way up steadily to CEO, and here I am now. So I was about to say that we're a small grassroots charity, but I'm going to stop using that term because even though we're small, we just have such a great impact with the resources and the staff and manpower that we have. We do have an incredible impact. So I'm going to stop saying we're a small grassroots charity. What I will say is we work directly with people who live on housing estates. That's probably 80% of our user group are people that live on social housing, who are on low incomes, high number of benefit dependency, and a high number of unemployed users. And one of our big ethos is about how do we give local people the tools and skills to empower themselves. We're not about coming in and doing everything for everyone. We will support local communities to identify a need, work out how the best way to solve that problem, and we will support them to do that. And I think that is probably, even though other charities and other organisations say they do it, that is really in essence what we do. I don't have a favourite programme, but what I will say is the one that kind of I know has a longer lasting legacy and impact is our knife and gang crime project, One Micron Life. It started off about getting young people to put on an awareness event at the end of the year for their peers and their community, and it's now turned into, giving young people qualifications so they can start a career. And that's the progression of, a project that started just trying to provide school holiday provision. We had 80% of our parents, single parents, telling us they're struggling to find something great for their kids to do during school holidays and half terms. And from that to actually seeing, I think this year, 8 young people qualified as personal fitness instructors. Last year, 10 qualified, young people working on a new app that Camden Giving us funded, just the evolution of trying to provide safe spaces for young people to do so they don't get involved in gangs and knife crime has turned, it's snowballed into such a magnificent project in a sense. Like I said, it's really about giving young people the tools and skills to empower themselves and to feel confident. I think that's one of the things that I've learned along over the years doing the One Micron Life project. It's instilling confidence in young people. We think they're really overconfident and a majority of them aren't. So again, it's about empowering them. So I would say that is probably the project that I really kind of look at and follow very closely. And like I said, we have great relationships with Haverstock School, Brecknock School. We've gone in and delivered. We're delivering stuff with Edith Neville, who are, locally to us in Somerstown, and just maintaining those relationships with the schools, but also the local youth organisations, expanding our network, hiring a youth officer, finally having somebody that is dedicated in that role makes such a difference to how young people interact with us. I could talk for hours about our One Micron Life project and the impact. The last 2 years, over 470 young people have done our half-term workshops. Even during COVID, still managed to get over 160 young people engaged during half-term virtually. Yeah. If it wasn't for Camden Giving, we wouldn't be around today. And that is honestly the funding. And I guess from your perspective, it probably isn't a lot. I think the first pool of money we got was, just under £10,000, but that enabled us to hire 2 staff for a year. It enabled us to run our employment and training project. And we've been really, really lucky. You've been big champion of us as the organisation, but more importantly, the work and the impact that we have locally. And we just genuinely couldn't do it without Camden's giving funding. You're probably our biggest benefactor, I will say that. I would say 80% of our funding comes from Camden giving. Like I said, we've been incredibly lucky. The first couple of rounds was about employability. Then you funded our knife and gang crime project. Then you founded our emergency food bank during COVID. And then more recently, we really got lucky with a couple of years worth of funding from HS2 and the Social Impact Fund as well. So honestly, we are probably one of the organisations locally that has really benefited from the funding that we get from Camden Giving, but also the support, you know, that relationship that we've built over the time with Natasha, with Grace, with Ali, with all of the staff, with Havid. It's really important. And so yeah, we wouldn't be standing without that funding. And like I said, we're not talking about huge amounts of money. We're talking about, you know, 10,000 here, but it makes such a huge difference to us. It enables us, like I said, to just employ someone part-time, to be able to do employment and training services, to be able to put great half-term workshops on so young people aren't getting involved in knife and gang crime. The funding makes such a massive difference to us. We couldn't have done it without Camden Giving over the last couple of years. And that's not to be, you know, blowing smoke up, you know what, but it's the honest, it's the reality, it's the truth. I think it's probably the model that most funders should be moving forward with. We're part of the Camden Renewal Commission, and we literally 2 weeks ago had a subgroup meeting because we've got a pool of money that we're going to give out. And my first thought was, Camden Giving are doing this already. Camden Council, pick up the phone, speak to them, either get them to manage it for you or learn from their model. Because for me, it should always be local people making the decisions about what happens locally. It shouldn't be about, you know, an organisation like Camden Giving or Urban Community Projects or me. You know, I no longer live in London anymore. It should always come from those on the ground, those experienced and living in that environment, making the key decisions. One thing I would say is, and I've noticed panels being refreshed, and I like that. I think that's important as well. So we don't breed nepotism. So we don't make other organisations or other local people feel that only certain people are getting to make the decisions. So I do think that's important as well within that model. But yeah, it absolutely makes it special. We've worked with 2 of the panel members as well locally, Adam and hopefully Vanessa over the summer. So again, just having those relationships and then bringing them on board in our world and getting them to deliver services for our user group. It's just a whole joined up circle, which is really important as well. And I didn't think that would happen, but it has. So it's been incredible. I think, like I said, we got I think 2 pots of emergency COVID funding, and that was really about our food bank. You know, the year before, our food bank had supported less than 500 people. Last year, you know, 2,889 people. So, you know, you get 1,000, you know, 100% increase. And we wouldn't have been able to scale up. We would not be able to have been able to feed nearly 3,000 people without that emergency fund from Camden Giving, no doubt. It just wouldn't have happened. But one thing I would say COVID has taught me about our organisation more than anything is that we're probably a lot more agile than I gave us credit for. We were able to literally switch online. You know, the only face forwarding thing we had to do was the food bank, and it was really extraordinary. Actually, we're in a big community centre, probably with 20 other partner organisations. COVID happens, they've got big staff, so they furloughed everybody, and the last man standing, the only organisation in this £1 million building was Urban Community Projects, and that has stood out to me more than anything. You know, these organisations within that building earn 100 times more than us, but yet when there's the middle of a crisis, this tiny, small, 3-staffed organisation is the only people on the ground delivering, staying there, face forwarding. You know, people coming in, asking us questions, linking in with other services, with the local authority, knowing what other organisations are doing. It really showed me that we showed our muscle and we're agile, and we can face anything that's thrown at us. And that is obviously with the support again from Camden Giving. I will say that Natasha, Grace, Havid, everybody checked in on us, wanted to know what we were up to, followed us on social media. Just little things like your funders liking a few of your posts gives you that confidence. I don't think they understand it, but it does give an organisation that bit of confidence. So, funders looking out for us. We are on the right track. We are doing a good job. So yeah, that's what I've probably really learned about us, that we're agile. We can really do things quickly. I would say it was difficult keeping young people engaged online, because for them online is really about social stuff. It isn't, you know, it wasn't about learning. It wasn't about that sort of stuff before COVID happened. What I will say is our engagement increased as the year went on. And I think simply because young people kind of got their head around, right, this is a different method, and it's probably more beneficial to me because I can still participate in my bedroom. I don't have to get up and go to the community centre or go to school, or I can still engage. So I would say towards the end of the pandemic, and I would say we probably will keep, I know, for example, all of our employment and training one-to-ones, more than likely we will keep them virtual unless somebody requests to come into the building. And you will find, you know, carers, you know, want to have that face-to-face contact. You know, those that may be a bit older will want to have that face-to-face contact. But I would say 40% of our activities will stay online, will stay virtual. You know what I would say? Innovators. Where we're moving, I know for a fact none of the other local organisations are even thinking about that. For us, it's about how do we use new technology? How do we give young people skills and tools that they can apply that new technology into real career paths? How do we get great ideas from local entrepreneurs, give them the skills to turn that into real life products that help their local communities? Again, like I said, some of the funding we got from Camden Giving is to build a click and collect app. Now it's for our food bank. It was about how do we restore dignity and control? How do we make food bank users feel no different from those that go to Tesco's? So our app does exactly the same as what a Tesco's app will do. It's got an inventory, you put your stuff in the basket. The only difference is you're not being charged. So again, how do we respond to local need, but in a really innovative way? And how do we use new technology? So like I said, all the branding for that app has been done by Brunel students. We've got 12 young people working with the app developer to build that app, doing their qualifications. So again, how do we tie in the two? It's not just about having the app, it's about who's built it, who's created it, and can we give them the skills and tools that after the app's long gone, I want 6 of those young people to come back 2 years from now and say, I've got a job as an app developer. And that for me is what we're all about. So if you said to me 10 years from now, what would urban community, I would like local people to say, wow, they created X amount of products with local people. They really were innovators. You know, they brought this new technology to the local community to help us make decisions around planning or help us make decisions around whatever. But that's what I would like us to be known for, innovators moving forward, not just service providers, but really looking at the service we provide and tailoring it to the local need. I would just say Camden, for me, and I've worked in other boroughs, is about community. It's what does community mean to you? You think about that, that is Camden. It is where, whether the local authority come stand up to the plate or not, it's where local people come together to find solutions to local problems. It really is the buzz, the heartland of community and how communities should function. There's still problems. Obviously, there will be. Poverty brings problems. But one thing I love about Camden is their real passion and tenacity to fight together and fight really hardly for each other. And that really stands out. So that's what I would say. That's what Camden means to me. It's not necessarily a story. It really is about the people in Camden, the communities that sit within the borough, and how they work together and how they fight for each other, because they really do. So you saw that in COVID. You really saw that before COVID, because I've been doing this for 20 odd years. And I came from a negotiation background, and you can get quite jaded. But during COVID, it was really like, wow, you know, these guys are stepping up. They just need a bit of guidance, a bit of support, a bit of funding, but they're ready to go. And that's that's the lasting legacy I will have, the long lasting memory about Camden, which is the community.